In mythology, jinn are beings that appear in human form and are of a spirit level lower than angels. They have been known to possess humans. It appears one is possessing this boy in this video. An attempt to exorcise the demon is being made. As a man chants, the boy sits in a chair beside him, completely out of it. The boy shakes his head, making demonic voices. While the man continues to chant, he starts to rock with the music, his body shaking more and more. The man eventually puts a hand on his head, and the song stops. The boy is gasping for breath. They spray him in the face with a spray bottle of some liquid, perhaps holy water. The man later continues in his chant, patting the boy and moving him around variously. The boy becomes still and quiet for a while. Not long after, you can hear screaming from the other side of the room. Finally, you can see where it's coming from. Another woman, also appearing possessed. Was this boy at last exorcised of the jinn, or did it simply just make its way into this other woman's body? A YouTuber named JMX decides to push himself to his absolute limits by taking one of the most extreme YouTube challenges yet.
What are we going to be doing? We're going to be not drinking water for 48 hours.
To be clear, this challenge includes not just abstaining from liquids, but also from any food products with water in them as well. Things are going okay at first, but after about 20 hours into the challenge, his thirst starts to get the better of him. JMX's voice becomes scratchy and his lips grow white and chapped. He said he feels confused and not like himself at all, and there are still more than 24 hours to go.
4 hours to go till we're halfway, so we're 20 hours down, and yeah, I still kind of feel like shit, to be honest. I want to drink so bad.
By the second day, he comes down with a bad cold and feels completely terrible. He does not look or sound like the same person we saw at the beginning of the video. Watch this part and tell me if you agree.
Okay, we're about 3 hours away now. I honestly just want to drink something.
By hour 46, he feels like he might be in serious trouble, but he refuses to give up this far in. A friend makes him book a doctor's appointment, and JMX tries to finish the last 2 hours of the challenge under medical supervision. The doctors eventually force him to take in fluids through a needle before the 48 hours are up. JMX thinks that being given fluids through a needle does not count as breaking the challenge. Either way, I'm glad he experienced no long-lasting effects from this experiment. These police were patrolling a graveyard at night, expecting to apprehend the living. Instead, they met the living dead. Published by Kitten City in December of 2021, a pair of officers are seen walking along a path in the middle of the graveyard, tombstones on either side of them. They then hear this horrifying howl. The male officer leaves his partner in the dust as they both hurry off. Did they just wake up a demon? Or is something horrible happening deep beyond the grave? Either way, I can't say I've seen police run away this quickly before. This recent video of an unidentified flying device was sighted in New Mexico. It looks like a disc-shaped object until one of the lights breaks away.
What the?
Then they all briefly flicker out before lighting back up in a new formation. Is this some kind of special military flare exercise or what? I think I'm gonna go with what, and by what, I mean extraterrestrial life. This scary Randonautica is brought to you by YouTuber CJ Faison. While in Las Vegas, CJ ventured out to the random location he was sent to by the app. But Randonautica takes CJ and his crew into the middle of the desert, where they discover a photo of CJ taken with some female fans at the Mirage Hotel from 2014.
I'm literally shaking. I have chills up and down my body.
We've got nothing all day long.
Look at that. We've been struggling.
Yo! That's a picture of me!
Yeah.
CJ says that one of the girls in the photo is named Julia. Alongside the photo is a note that includes CJ's full name and some other personal information.
The dark-haired girl in the middle, I met her in 2000, and I believe it was 2013, when I was racing in NASCAR at Richmond International Speedway.
Nearby, they also discover a wallet with some random stuff in it, including a room key for the Luxor, which is where CJ is staying.
Makes sense because we're in Vegas. There's another Luxor room key.
Oh, dude. I'm staying at the f***ing Luxor.
As they ponder this mystery in the desert, a couple of cars pass by and a girl shouts out at them, "Randonautica video boys, come on." Is it Julia? A YouTuber recalls another video that CJ shot where he's reading texts about him from Aaron Valentino. The YouTuber notes that these texts mention the year 2014.
Very well that you have stumbled upon this phone. I know many things about you. I know that you wish you could change some things that happened to your life in 2014.
The same year listed on Julia's picture, as well as the quote that CJ read on the back of the photograph. The quote was, "The ones who aren't afraid control life itself," which is a quote from infamous Richard Ramirez, aka the Night Stalker. Yikes. Later, the crew notices something off in the distance watching them.
Hold on, give me a sec. Let me zoom out first. It's right there.
Oh.
Person, can you record that for the video?
Did someone plant this stuff here? Is that someone watching the group across several Randonauticas from Pocomoke Forest in Maryland to the desert outside of Las Vegas, Nevada? Several YouTubers in the comments think this crew is being tracked or their phones have been hacked into. Perhaps these Randonauticas aren't so random after all. I apologize for the poor quality of this video, but the backstory is too good to pass up. The Newcastle High School in Indiana received a notification from their security company that something weird was going on. So they looked at the CCTV videos to see exactly what the problem was.
See here, the lights are off in the choir room.
I'm actually freaking out right now. Me too.
The power goes out.
Oh my gosh,
Okay.
This is scaring me.
So I'm thinking that the power going off is weird enough, but look what happens when it comes back on.
The lights are on. What the?
Do you see that? The light came on.
I'm no electrician, but if the lights in the other room were off before the power outage, then they shouldn't come back on unless someone was in the room to mess with the switch. But as far as anyone knows, it was late at night and the school was empty, so I don't know how this could be. Things are about to get creepy on this CCTV video taken from a restaurant somewhere in China. A man looks in the cooler and decides to help himself to something else. A while later, he takes a seat near a woman who's looking the other way. 26 seconds is when he looks over and then he goes for it, taking something in her jacket, probably a purse, and walking straight out the door. He's fumbling around for quite some time and likely has to undo a button or two to abscond with her belongings. If only she had turned around the other way, he would have been caught in person and not just on camera. For those of you who think this isn't a scary video, try getting stranded in another country with no passport, money, credit cards, or phone. That's a situation only for the brave if I've ever heard one. A YouTuber named Ariane Childress is a ghost hunter using some sort of paranormal software that I'm not familiar with. It almost looks like split screen night vision with some sort of enhancement feature on the right. Anyway, Ariane uses the program to capture what appears to be an oversized face lingering in her window.
No, seriously, I'm like looking at this window, there's nothing out there. It looks like there's a face. That's really creepy.
She says that she's been feeling watched in real life when she turned the app on and pointed it towards the window. Meanwhile, the colors continue to switch from pitch black to a gray discolored face.
Not normal.
Be sure to let me know what this app is and how it works if you have any knowledge. The last thing you would want to encounter when driving on a deserted stretch of road at night is a ghost shot in Delhi. Aman Kumar published this video in August of 2018. As you can see, the driver and his passenger have spotted a figure up ahead in their headlights, so they approach slowly and then stop.
मन आज किसे आ गया बाबा
The figure ahead is moving across the road at a snail's pace. The driver flashes his brights and low lights on and off several times, but this doesn't affect the figure's pace in the slightest. The figure continues to move slowly across the road, and then another figure. The driver keeps flashing his lights on and off, trying to get the figures to move. They seem to have converged in the middle of the road. It's unclear if the ghostly figures start to approach, but the passenger starts to panic. The driver continues to flash his lights on and off, and at the same time backs up a ways. Even after 3 whole minutes, the figures are still there. That's where the footage ends. We don't know if the path ever cleared for these two, but what we do know is you never know when you might meet the afterlife. This next video shows that even a zip line is in perfect condition. With flawless equipment is never truly safe. Sometimes things just go wrong. A giant gator pops up to try and snag this instructor out of the air. There is a decent amount of space between the two, but I'm sure it was plenty close enough if you asked her. And she definitely knows what waits for her should she ever make a future mistake and fall in. So I guess the final and most important lesson of ziplining over water is to always keep your legs up, because you never know what's lurking below the surface waiting to take a chomp. 3 friends bravely choose to summon Bloody Mary while one of their parents records. They recite her name 3 times in the mirror, and when nothing happens, they decide that the legend is a bust. The dad makes fun of them for a little bit, and they go on with their day.
I guess now we know that Mary Worth doesn't like you.
According to them, it wasn't until much later that they actually looked at the video and noticed some strange occurrences that made them upload it onto YouTube. Look at the countertop in the upper left-hand corner.
Oh, please, come on now. Well, what other ideas?
I don't know, other ideas of how to get her to jump out of the mirror at us.
Maybe it takes a little longer.
Like how long?
I don't know, a couple minutes.
The candle appears to move by itself on at least 2 separate occasions. I guess it could have been magnets, but I really don't understand how. It's important to add that they were all picking the candles up to light them just a moment earlier, and nothing was hidden underneath. Give me your best guess as to how they moved these candles. Or better yet, tell me if you think it was Bloody Mary who was moving them. A YouTuber named Shannon Griffin recorded this short scene as part of an amateur film he was working on. One of his friends, Rachel, goes into the alley and the scene ends. It seems simple enough, but look at the bottom left for a weird surprise. The swaying shadow is not supposed to be part of the shot. Later, when Shannon was editing the footage, he was terrified by the strange discovery because nobody was standing off camera there. It's not a tree in the wind because these plants in the foreground don't move at all, while this shadow figure sways wildly. The only explanation I have, assuming that they are telling the truth to begin with, is maybe some nosy neighbor was watching them from a window and casts their shadow on the sidewalk below, but the way the shadow moves is so odd that I don't think this is it at all, so maybe it was paranormal. Something in this pizzeria has had enough. Posted to TikTok by Flaming Belladonna 3. This short clip shows what happens when you anger the pizza gods. The clip shows several workers standing around in the kitchen. On a pizza belt to the right, a pizza flipper and a slicer are sitting on the top belt. As the girls chat, the slicer suddenly shoots off the shelf and knocks one of them in the head. How in the world could this happen? Some think the workers angered a ghost by putting pineapple on the pizza. Others, like Jonathan Zwar, suggest that the slicer was on the conveyor and probably was pushing against the metal lip, causing it to be propelled when the tension released. Many in the comments, however, would rather focus on the danger of that slicer. The 509 Grim Knight writes, "That could have easily been in Final Destination." So now that all the facts are in, what do you think? Is this an angry pizza ghost or an angry conveyor belt? On the other side of this fence is nothing but miles of vast wilderness. Exactly what lurks beyond this point is anyone's guess, but apparently something huge and hostile has been regularly coming into the backyard of a YouTuber named Big Dill for some reason, possibly in search of its next meal.
But what happens is this creature comes up against this fence and it jumps this fence. and it was standing, we think, right in this where I'm standing right now.
Literally 2 seconds later, this wild and hungry howl fills the night.
I'm getting this footage, and did you just hear that?
Now here's the part that's really unsettling. You probably didn't see it at first, but a pair of glowing eyes are without a doubt watching him from the trees. Maybe they were the very eyes of the beast itself, as it changes his way while making that hideous, inhuman scream. Captured at Hillview Manor in Newcastle, these paranormal explorers face their fears. Published by SCWC in October of 2019, the uploader calls this the scariest moment of their entire life. Although the video has no sound, the YouTuber says footsteps charged at them from down the hallway. The video shows their terrified reaction as they all look toward it. One of them even dives out of the way as the invisible spirit charges toward them. Noting that the footsteps ran between all of them, the uploader writes, "The walls and floor shook with every footstep this spirit took while running." While you don't see anything run past, this group's synced reaction seems more than genuine. What was in the Hill House with them? Two friends record a song on acoustic guitar, completely unaware of what lurks nearby. There is nothing behind them, but then a giant figure taller than the door itself peers at them through the glass. By the time the person who is singing leans forward and back, it's gone. When you zoom in, it almost looks like the head is completely detached from the body, or maybe it has a deep slash in the neck. Then again, since the alleged ghost doesn't appear to move at all, it could just be cheap editing. With that said, this was taken in 2007, so the video quality is actually very good for its time, and many think it could be real. Have you ever owned a doll that just isn't right? One that you spot on your desk in the darkness of night, staring at you? Published in May of 2015, this footage of a haunted doll will make your toes curl. The doll in question, which looks creepy in its wide-eyed stare already, suddenly does something you least expect. It blinks. The person taking the video hurries off, likely not wanting to see what the doll will do next. One of the freakiest things about this footage is that the doll doesn't look like a little girl's toy. It's a full-grown woman doll, makeup and all. You don't expect an inanimate doll to suddenly blink at you in the darkness. When it does, that image stays with you. It haunts you. History is bound to affect the aura of some places. Particularly history is chilling as Lemp Mansions. Posted to the Ghosts subreddit by Baked Potato, the Redditor writes, "This video was taken off my friend's old phone when she visited the Lemp Mansion years ago. Before we analyze the clip, you'll need to know a little background on Lemp Mansion. The historical house in St. Louis, Missouri, was the home of the Lemp family in the early 20th century. 3 of the Lemps would go on to take their own lives in the family home. The only surviving Lemp was Edwin, who lived until the age of 90. He did not live in the Lemp family home, however. He moved to his own estate later on. Needless to say, with all these horrific and sad occurrings in Lemp Mansion, some believe it's haunted by spirits. It's now a restaurant and inn that offers haunted and historical tours, and also hosts Halloween parties and dinner theater. Perhaps it was at one of these events that a Redditor's friend caught this frightening footage. As the friend wanders around the mansion in the short clip, you can see odd moving shapes throughout, but the scariest appears at the end. A dark figure lurks in the bright light of the window, materializing out of thin air. It then disappears when the camera pans back around again. According to the Redditor, his friend didn't see the figure at the time. Redditor Fluffy Socks writes, "If you slow it down and look frame by frame, you'll see he's sitting there looking out the window. Gives me a pretty weird feeling, TBH. Do you have that feeling too? I certainly do. When demons get aggressive, then it's time to be really afraid. Published by Realidad Alterna in November of 2021, this scary video shows a terrifying, malignant incident caught on camera, captured in a scary haunted house. Tim sets up his camera and immediately hears a strange noise behind him. As he's reading something out loud, a window pane starts opening and shutting like mad. The lights start flashing in both rooms, and later, with the night vision on, a chair comes flying out of another room. It doesn't look like it's thrown, rather like it rises. But the scariest part is yet to come. As Tim reads a ritual out loud, a chair comes flying behind him, knocking him over, and seated into the chair. Later, he hears strange knocking from the basement. And when he goes to investigate, creepy groans sound distantly, but they seem like they're all around him. There is something truly to fear in this demon house. Are you ready to face it? Thank you so much for getting me to 50,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 60,000 subscribers next. Thank you.